Wow. Oh man. I completely agree. I mean, I remember growing up, in the early 80s, I remember truck drivers had, the button-up shirt, they had it tucked into jeans, tight jeans. They had boots. They were either clean shaven or they had a clean beard. They had a ball cap or a cowboy hat on, and they would walk with confidence. They would walk with pride. They would speak well. When they spoke, there was power behind how they spoke and how they carried themselves. They were tough. You know what I mean? Just like a soldier, or like how the cops used to be. They were powerful. You didn't mess with them, and it. I think, like Bob just said, I think a big part of it is we don't police each other. From what I hear, in the 70s, imagine doing something like this in the 60s or 70s. What would have happened to you? You would have had somebody would have had your shirt like this up against the wall, right? Yeah, with flip-flops on. Right, right.
And this is what a lot of people, one of the things that people have lost over the years. They take pride and accountability in their work.
That's right. That's right. It's also, you notice a lot of drivers, they get to a shipper or receiver, and a shipper, every shipper, every consignee has a way that they run their business, right? A way that they run their property. There's different rules. Sometimes you have to wear a safety vest. Sometimes you have to sign five different BOLs. Every place of business is different in a lot of places. And you'll see the driver next to you, like whether he or she was loaded before you or after you, they'll say something like, "Sir, you got to have your vest on," or "Ma'am, you got to have your vest on." And you'll see these drivers have a real bad attitude. Like Costco, for example, there's some locations that you just follow the rules. If they tell you you got to have a safety vest on property, just wear your safety vest. And guess what? Then you don't got to deal with nobody bothering you or pointing the finger at you or having to bug you a second or third time, or no attitude problem. Just follow whatever guidelines they have. I mean, you're making money, right? And you're on private property. You're on their property. It's
There's a
they Go ahead.
there's another side to that, Vince, that I think they've also made rules to the point of where it's complete nonsense.
Well,
Me personally, I went to a place called Bungie. They make oil. They make oil, food grade oil, like cooking oil. And I was picking up a load, and the guy said to me, "You have to come in and sweep out your trailer." "No problem, sir. You have to wear a hairnet." I said, "I don't, I don't have to wear a hairnet." He said, "Yep, you have to wear a hairnet." I said, "Why do I got to wear a hairnet?" He said, "It's our policy." I said, "What is the job of the hairnet?"
no, see, there's the problem. You're asking some people to critically think. See, there's the problem right there.
But I mean, we've gotten to the point with these rules, and at the point of ridiculousness. It's lost common sense. We got rules that don't even make common sense. It's imperative that I put a net on my head. My arm has more hair on it than my head, but I said, "Okay, I'll put this on." What do you think it's stopping? What is the
Yeah,
purpose?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
my eyebrows. I got more hair in my eyebrows than on my head, Mister. They've gone too far to the point where it doesn't even make sense.
Well, and
And there
what
are some places like that. We
to Purina up in Flagstaff every once in a while. Okay, and I can see the thing wearing the safety vest when you're walking across the parking lot, okay, to go into the building. Well, why do you got to wear a hard hat when you're standing out there in between two trailers, dollying your landing gear up, and they will not let you in the gate if you do not have a hard hat and a safety vest? What is that hard hat going to protect me when a pile of bird shit comes falling out of the sky?
People don't even know the history of a hard hat. If a hard hat was needed, absolutely. Hard hats were invented when they built the Hoover Dam. Was the very first hard hat because they were jackhammering the side of the mountain on Lake Mead to build the Hoover Dam. And as they were jackhammering,
That's the book I saved. And that's him, of course.
they were taking people's lives. It was bashing their head in, and they started taking leather helmets, dipping them in tar, and making the first very hard hats. And it was a very functional reason because there was a guy jackhammering 12 feet above your head, sprinkling boulders on you. How we got this far away that I can have to every mill that I go to, I better have a hat on walking through a parking lot, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, common sense and critical thinking has gone right out the door. It's and the thing that bothers me is like when they tell you to slide your tandems and the back of your trailer is perfectly level with their building and you're loading toilet paper but slide the tandems, and I'm like, why would you like me to slide the tandems? Do you know why we slide tandems? The last guy that trained me a month ago told me I have to tell you guys to slide the tandems or I can't load you. I go, okay, so do you know why to slide the tandems? No, the last guy told me to tell you. It's just, nobody even thinks about anything. They just monkey see, monkey do, parrot. Parrot to parrot to parrot to parrot. And I think that's what these corporate giants, that's what they want. That's why the automatic transmission in 2020 came to be. I feel, that's my opinion. I don't think it's because of fuel economy. I think it's because of, yeah, go ahead.
Having pride in your job of what you're doing. Now, my truck, I shift gears. They've taken that job away. You can't have pride in shifting gears. I have a gauge that tells me how full my air filters are, how hot my rear diff is, how hot my front diff is, how hot my transmission is. I can see a gauge for every bit of air in this truck, 3 different gauges for air, oil pressure, pyometer, water, voltage. They have these trucks to the point now where there's five gauges and there's no transmission. How do you take pride in they've taken all the jobs away? What are you supposed to have pride in?
But yeah, wait a minute. You said 5 gauges?
Yeah.
You must be driving a fancy truck if it's got 5. I have 1 gauge over here that tells me water temperature. I got 1 gauge for air pressure, 1 gauge for oil pressure, and a fuel gauge. And the DEF gauge are all the same thing. So I got 4. You're highfalutin, Bob, if you got 5.
We're going to go over my...
Wow. There we go. Oh, I'm so jealous. Rub it in.
My 07 Pete had all that stuff.
Deb, why do you let him rub this in? Why do you allow him to rub it in? Why? Why do you encourage this behavior? Oh, man.
You there, Mr. Charles?
One day, Deb, I have to grow up first. Then maybe I can get a real truck. I got to grow up first.
That's right.
I'm working on it.
Your opinion there, Scott, about being professional out here?
Well, like you guys were just talking about with the gauges, back when I started in the very early 90s, you had to know what a pyro was. You had to know what temperatures were safe for a turbo, when you could lug one down and how far, and when you had to back out of it and drop a gear or you belt a piston. They don't teach them that anymore. They've dumbed it down to the point that if you can see over the steering wheel and reach the pedals, they'll give you a CDL, and that's part of the problem.
Yep. Yep.
Amen. I watch all these gauges that I showed you. I stare at them as much as the road. Literally.
That's it.
Yes.
You can do them both at the same time if you're good.
Yep. I mean, I envy people that have like cross-eyed, that have like cross-eyed vision. Like I'm thinking, I wonder if you could actually keep one eye on the road and one eye on a gauge at the same time.
You know, I got to where I can look straight ahead going down the road, and I can keep an eye on both mirrors out of my peripheral vision. If somebody started up beside me or something happened, I could catch it. I knew something was happening, and then I'd look over. But I never had to actually look directly at that mirror to catch it.
Oh, I do this kind of like all day. I can see this right now. My head's just kind of on a swivel doing this. Right.
Yep. That's good.
You know something that I still do today? I hauled cars for 12 years. So the one thing that a car hauler has to pay attention to is bridge heights. And I still look at bridge signs when I go underneath the bridge. If there's a sign, I see it. I've done it for so long that it's habit.
Sure.
I watch bridge signs and I'm not high. Like if I'm on a road I don't know, and if you've been driving any length of time, New York State marks their bridges a foot under for the whole state. Like if it says 12.6, it's 13.6, and a lot of people don't know that.
Huh.
In New York, they didn't always plow the highway, so they would let the snow build up, and they would add cinders. So they didn't have any legal problems. They mark all the bridges a foot lower than what they actually are. So in the summertime, if you see 12.6, like on the BQE, right at Atlantic Avenue, it says bridge height 12.6. You will see truck drivers for the first time dive off Atlantic Avenue off the Brooklyn Queens Expressway all day long because they think it's 12.6, but it's actually 13.6. And it's true for Buffalo, Syracuse, all those towns, they're all a foot under.
Yeah, I didn't know that about New York. Huh.
Well, there's a lot of places up through New England, too. They'll have two signs. They'll have a yellow one marked with a taller height, and they'll have a white one with a shorter height. That white one is your snow height. In other words, if there's snow on the ground,
Oh,
height is accounting for that snow.
I'll be damned.
Because they don't plow the road. They just add cinders because they get so much snow. They just add rocks and just let it happen.
I didn't know that about the signs up there.
I didn't know either on the yellow and the white. I was always wondering that. I thought it was a state thing. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, if the road's clear, nothing on the road, and there's two signs, go with whichever one. The yellow one is usually going to be the one that's got a taller height. That's what you actually got.
See, that goes back to schooling. Why don't we teach all these things in school over the course of a minimum of 6 months? Because in your career, you never know where you're going to end up. I never thought I was going to go OTR. I refused. The first 3 years, I was like dead set on not going OTR. Look at me now, you know? Yeah, look at me now. No choice, you know?
There's Cool Harvey in here. What's going on this evening?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How are y'all?
We're good.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we heard you good.
Great.
We're talking about professionalism today, Cool Harvey. Tonight's topic is what is a professional to you? What is a true professional to you?
Yeah, I think that's a thing of the past. That's what I think. I mean, you know, if you get somebody in here that's respectful, that drives a truck, and they're just respectful in their tone and how they speak, that's professional anymore. But I mean, I grew up at a point to where all y'all are talking about, I came in just shortly after they went from a chauffeur's license to a CDL. The CDL wasn't even a thing when I started, you know, so, and you're right, it was all button-up shirts and cowboy boots and blue jeans or dress pants. And that's not even a thing anymore. But, you know, anymore, I see a few of those people, few and far between. But when I see them, I like to go talk to them. And say,
Yes.
and ask them how they're doing.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. It's a rare breed for sure. For sure.
it is. It is.
I feel pretty fortunate because there's a lot of older truck drivers that follow my account. So when they see me, I run into a lot of those guys and they spot me, and it's really refreshing to, you know, talk to someone that's been in the industry that, you know, has the same values and standards, and it makes it more tolerable because I didn't know they were there, but because, you know, I get to meet them. There's a lot more out there than you would realize, but they stay quiet. They don't talk on the radio. They just, you know, they go do their thing and keep their nose to the grindstone.
Yep. Yep. Do you blame them what they're seeing today? I don't blame them. Who wants to look out the window today and watch what's happening? It's a front row seat to complete destruction and chaos. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. Tio, welcome in. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, good evening. Hey, I know that you can have another topic, but I want to talk about something that happened this week, this storm. This morning can't find the 2025 money going to give to the Fed motor carrier, and the 2026 is more than a billion on both years. And my curiosity on this is because I don't get it yet. How is possible that we need to be involved on the heavy traffic for 34 hours on ice road because the condition of that road is not prepared before the storm? Where is going that money?
I don't know. What do you got to say to that, Bob? I mean,
So
this is supposed to be about being professional, so we're getting off subject here.
yeah, but what he's asking is where's the money going for? I'm not sure I understand the question. Where's the money going for what?
Well, the question is the amount of money that the government gives to the Fed motor carrier on 2025 and the money they give to the Fed motor carrier in 2026, where that money's going. Because the minute that's supposed to be on the road, it's not being done. It's supposed to be. Where that money's going?
Federal motor carriers is completely different than the highway department. Those are right, Bob?
Yeah, like now your scale houses in your states, they're paid by the FMCSA. Like there's a couple different things you're talking about, and when you say money to the FMCSA, they pay their people. There's 1,000 employees at the FMCSA. There's 300 people inside the building and inside Washington, D.C. The rest of the agents, I actually think there's about 1,200 agents now, and there's agents in every state. They all draw a paycheck, and then your scale houses, and then DOT officers. It goes on and on. They can justify all their dollars. The real question is that money being spent wisely? But they can tell you where every dollar went.
When you go on Google, you can find there that the Fed motor carrier is a part of that money that the DOT in Louisiana to development, improvement, infrastructure, stuff. So that part of that money is not to be used for this kind of situation, right?
No.
No. When you're coming into bad weather conditions in states in the south, they are not prepared for the bad weather states up north yet, right? So a lot of those states are not prepared for it. They don't have the salt, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the manpower to go out there and maintain the roads for you to keep rolling. That's why you need to watch your weather. You need to route accordingly, so you're not late on your deliveries. You're not, you're able to move around and get around those snowstorms or those ice storms or whatever the case is, so you're not late.
And that's why
And that goes back to what you guys were talking about with professionalism. That's why I popped in, right? Bob, just to let you know, huge fan, love you and Deb. Never had a conversation with you, always wanted to. So great to see you up here.
To elaborate, just in Georgia, I was talking to my stepdaughter this morning. There was a guy on her street in Georgia that was literally throwing salt out of the back of a pickup truck, riding around with a salt can, with a coffee can, spreading salt by hand.
wow.
The infrastructure, I mean, they don't. It's not. You can't buy a snow sled there. You can't buy a snow shovel. They don't have salt to buy. I mean, they aren't set up for it.
Thermals, gloves.
Because if you are advised that storm is going to go through that state, and you have the money to be prepared, so what's going on? Do I have to be prepared?
Well,
My-
Go through the road as a driver?
the money to clean the highways and stuff doesn't come from the FMCSA. That comes from a completely different department in the government, right, Bob?
Yeah,
It comes
yeah,
from
I
the
mean,
individual state.
It comes from your local DOT. That's what I was saying. It doesn't come from the feds. So that's each individual state's DOT, and a lot of those states in the South just don't have either the equipment, the manpower, or the funds, or all three.
Well, and I can do you guys one better. Being a professional to me is knowing when to park and when to drive. So regardless what everybody is saying, you're the captain of your ship, and that load is not worth your life, or more importantly to me, other people's lives. Public safety is number one. And I didn't think like that 8-9 years ago. Coming from Truckee, California, right? Chaining up all the time. I thought I was the snow expert. I do have a lot of experience, but today, you know what I do? I park it. And if I'm gonna get in trouble, I'm gonna get in trouble. Go ahead and fire me. I'll get another job 3 days later when the sun comes out, melts everything. I'll go get a job down the street with a perfect safety record versus getting in an accident and then they're gonna throw it all on me anyway. So and I used to say, government, help me, help me. But guys, I'm going to tell you right now, the government could care less about us. They're just making our life worse. They're taking all our money. And what is government funded, right? There is no such thing as government funded. It's your tax dollars. You own all those buildings. You own all those jets in the air, those combat jets, right? So my suggestion is don't wait for the government to come help us. Just park your truck and don't drive on ice because that's crazy.
I mean, I'm from Colorado, right?
Okay.
It's different for us being in the mountains, being in all the bullshit all the time.
Yep.
Because it can snow 11 out of the 12 months of the year, right?
Well, Vail.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, so for us, it's a completely different animal, right? A little bit of snow doesn't bother me. A little bit of ice doesn't bother me. But I don't mix wind on either one. Because
Right.
50 mile an hour wind on a sheet of ice can send you sideways. And you just have to know your abilities and what you're comfortable with. And once you get too comfortable, you need to back out of it. Because that's when you're going to run into problems. I've only been doing this 10 years. I'm close to 100. I'm close to my first million, right?
Nice.
And I'm accident free. So, like Bob was saying, a lot of these older drivers, when I first came out here, I was wearing tennis shoes and street clothes and stuff like that. I changed my wardrobe because not only did I get tired of messing up a $200 pair of pants, $100 shirt, 200. But my boots are lasting a hell of a lot longer. I don't worry about my jeans getting dirty. My t-shirts I'm not worried about. You know what I mean? Because I realized out here, I'm not just behind the steering wheel. I'm not just looking out a window. I'm actually doing work.
That's right.
When you walk, and when you walk into a shipper or a receiver, and you're in street clothes, and you look sloppy, they treat you a certain kind of way. You carry yourself professionally and with respect and dignity, they treat you completely different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not just that. Pretty much everybody in the world, when you're presentable, you're clean, you don't smell bad, you're dressed nice, that demands a different attitude than when you're in pajamas.
Yes.
And the thing is, I'm a Latino male. I'm younger, right? I'm only 38, 39, right? And I have a throat tattoo, I have face tattoos, I have hand tattoos. I'm covered. So I look like a fucking criminal already. But if I don't give them that perception by being able to speak at least decent enough to hold a conversation, and I look presentable enough to where they're not trying to kick me out of their fucking building, then I'm doing something right.
Yeah. All
That's
those
it.
things is absolutely true. And they will look past all those tattoos. They will look past all that and go, this guy's presentable. He takes care of himself. Yeah, that's almost a new thing. Like everywhere I go, I see people with face tattoos. It's commonplace anymore. I got a question. How can you respect yourself when you don't respect others?
Yes.
Actually, I think a lot of it now is that a lot of the new generations, they're angry about everything. I don't understand
But
it. Why
but
are you
here's
so
but
mad?
here's a question that I have for you, Bob. Not only are you talking about people that are presentable for their appearance and the way they carry themselves, right? But what about these assholes out here that we're sharing the road with that have 3 feet of fucking trash inside their truck on the dash and everything else? The truck has not been washed in probably 5 years, and then they pull into a receiver next to you.
I see it all the time, and I had a bunch of grief on TikTok at one time because Jason Pitt, he's passed away. He's gone now, but he made a video or made a comment about a guy in a video who literally had trash piled up on the whole passenger side of his vehicle. And all I did was made a comment on his video. I said, if you look in there, you'll probably find the chandelier to the Titanic, and he probably has his umbilical cord in there. It looks like he saves everything. And that's all I said. And people said, this guy's going through a mental problem. He's having, this and that. And all I said in the video, and then I got mad. I said, in the video, the truck is running. And if the truck is running, that means he put fuel in it. And if you put fuel in it, there's not a fuel stop in this entire country that doesn't have a trash can by the fuel pump. But I can promise you for sure that fella mentally would be better if he would remove the trash from his vehicle and have a clean environment. You feel better about yourself.
And every other day we fuel, Bob. Every other day we're at a truck stop, if not every night and morning, correct?
We fuel every day, but yes.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm gonna be leaving because I know how to dress and I know how to be professional. So I'm gonna give you the opportunity to be someone else here. Right?
It's good having you there, T.O.
But here's
Thanks for
here's
coming in,
my
brother.
gripe with it. This is my gripe with it. We pass enough truck washes, right? And it takes what, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes to wash a truck? I mean, a Blue Beacon, they don't do the best job, but they'll get the job done, right? And your truck will at least look presentable at these shippers and receivers. You have, like you said, trash. There's trash cans everywhere. Out rest areas. There's also trash cans.
My tax lady is mind blown by the amount of money that I spend on truck washes. Like, is this a real thing? Like, yeah. I usually twice a week, at least once a week, but most during the winter.
Wow, I'm terrible. I'm once every 2 months. Once every 2 months, man. And you make me feel bad. Oh man.
I work for a company that allows me to wash mine three times a month, right?
Wow.
And I'm only gone for 5 days at a time. So it's not bad. because even when my truck's parked at the yard, they have somebody that comes out and washes it while it's in the yard. So I mean, they take care of our equipment. You know what I mean? But it's just pathetic when I sit here and I look at when I first get in the truck, I try to have everything organized. And tomorrow's my Friday, and I look around the cabin, I'm like, fuck, my truck's filthy. But it's really not. I mean, I just got to tidy up a little bit, maybe wipe down the floor and a couple things in the truck, the cab, and then just organize the sleeping area a little bit better. You know what I mean? But it's still presentable. If somebody was to get into my truck, if I have to go pick up and recover another driver, I can just move some stuff around and it's good to go. Like, it's not horrible. And I just look at some of these guys and I'm like, how can you literally be that comfortable when you have the possibility of getting pulled into a scale house or pulled over by roadside or anything like that, and your truck looked the way it does?
Hey, and go ahead, Bob.
I don't understand that law about, a lot of guys will say it's a law that you have to have your bed made. That's not actually a law. If you read that in the book, you have to have a bed. It has to be accessible.
What's going on? Dixon Mayaz, shout out from Truckers Unite Now. What's up, brother?
You get pulled in for an inspection. You don't have to have the bed made, but they better be able to tell that it's a bed and that you can go lay down in it. Laying a bunch of stuff across your bed will get you that ticket. That's how that rule really is.
They use it for a safety violation because it's the debris that can be flying around in the truck when you get into an accident or get underneath your fuel pedal, your brakes, you can't stop. So basically that's what it is. I mean, they just boil it down to it.
There's guys that'll swear. Go ahead.
The McDonald's bags, the Subway wrappers, and that stuff laying on the dash, the candy wrappers, that's just so I can get the crumbs out 3 days later or a week later after it's baked in the sun. Makes it taste better.
Right. Got you a pet rat you can feed later, huh?
Well, and you know, guys, the funny part is DOT, you'll see videos on social media all day long of DOT cops that's one of their main things. They look at you, the driver, as you're driving through the scale house. They look at your truck. They look at your rim. They look at everything. And if your truck is nice and clean, you have, you're presentable. You don't have a bunch of trash on the dashboard, which we're not supposed to have anything on the dash anyway, right? But if everything looks in tip-top shape and you don't got bungee cords keeping the bumper on, throw some money into your truck here and there, it tells a story. Your truck driving slowly by anywhere, it tells a small story about who you are as a person. It really does.
Well, there's a caveat to that, right? Because either your truck is going to be filthy pulling into a scale house and they're going to call you in for an inspection, or they're going to call in the really clean truck for an inspection. Because either they want to give you a violation or they want an easy inspection. And I mean, one way
That's
or the
true.
other,
That's true.
one way or the other, you're going to get pulled in, right? So at the end of the day, what I've noticed is a lot of these drivers that have something wrong with their truck are nervous. They're the ones that don't make eye contact, they don't wave, they don't do anything, and they're just looking straight forward when they pull into a scale house, and then you see the light up red. Go in there, be friendly, be nice, whatever, and they might, you're probably going to get the green light 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Some of that reason is because in schools, they don't teach them. Like when we taught, we would actually go to a scale house and we would bring them inside and make them not scared. Where they're trying to rush these students through classes like it's going out of style. They don't have time to take them down to a scale house, introduce them, show them how it works. We used to have DOT officers come out and do a level 1 inspection in front of them, and they would actually practice it while they were doing it. So, we always had our trucks at the bar, but they could see how it actually works. So when it did happen, they weren't all nervous and scared, and it was just a regular routine on it. But now the schools don't even do it.
I think the real problem is before ELDs, now every company is the one that's monitoring your logging. The company that you drive for watches your ELD. But before when you had a paper log, the DOT pulled you in to check your log, and I talk to these people like I don't get nervous at all because I was from the air. These guys would pull me over just to look at my book. and then let me go. And that happened a million times, all the way up until ELD. And then they quit doing that. They quit pulling in because my company is the one that's checking my ELD. I can count, since I've had this thing, I've had one time that a DOT officer had me send my hours to them on that little code thing. One time. Before that,
I've had it happen 3 or 4 times. So I mean, it's every time that they do a level 1 on me, right? When they're doing a level 2, they just look at it. And they're just like, okay, you have one, cool. They don't have me send it in or anything. They just make sure my tablet works and it's on.
Yeah. Level 1s, they just look at my device in my hand. I had one time where they had me send it to their office. I was a level 2 actually. When they do a level 1 or a level 3, whatever, a lot of times they're standing there, they'll just look at my phone.
It used to teach me to keep your truck clean for one reason. Because when you get pulled in the scale, if you have a receipt that does not match your logbook, you're in trouble. So he always kept everything spotless, So, I mean, it's just, that's the way it worked back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get pulled in. I mean, I'm amazed how many times I've crossed this country and never walked into a scale since I've had an ELD from Washington back to Maryland, time and time again. Never stopped at a scale or talked to an officer ever. Before, when I'd have to go into Cheyenne, Wyoming, all these points of entry, in Denver, like that scale on 25. I think I knew them by name. What's that in Cortez? Hey Jim, how you doing? I'm coming through.
Oh, the one down in Trinidad or Monument?
No, you're talking about by San Francisco, right? The I-80, the beginning of the I-80?
He said 5.
No, he's talking about Colorado scales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I call it like Cortez, not too far from him,
Well, Cortez is over off of Highway 85, I think. That's over on the western
It's
side
over
of
by
the state.
it's over by Durango.
Shiprock.
Gotcha.
Shiprock.
Yeah.
Oh, that's I-25 north and south, right? You're talking north and south? Yeah. Or no, 491, okay.
It's in Bob.
Hey, Bob, since this is the first time I've actually had a conversation with you, sir, if you and Deb are ever in Colorado at the same time I am when I'm home, let me know, message me or whatever, and I will be more than happy to take you guys out to get something to eat.
Okay. What part of Colorado?
I live in southern Colorado, but I work out of Denver, so
Like down by the pass, by Rayton Pass or something?
I'm down in Pueblo.
Oh,
but I work out of
okay.
Denver.
They got some crazy burger there. You can get like some sort of weird burger.
Eagle burger.
Yeah.
Burger.
Yeah.
Burger?
There's a couple bars I frequented in Pueblo.
Yeah, see, we run the same route every week, and we're up and down. We come up I-25 Sunday night, early Monday morning, and we go back south, headed back to Phoenix on Fridays. We run the same route, like Bob was saying. We've been running the same route from Phoenix to Denver to Cheyenne to Ottawa and back, and we've probably been inspected maybe one time.
Yeah, it doesn't happen, because
Cheyenne, where you have to go in and show your paperwork off, your registration every time you go into the state. But
I think it all depends on your pre-pass too, right? Like how many people are getting out of service failures, how many people are getting, what kind of violations are you getting? Every company has a score, right? So
it also changed the whole dynamic of trucking. At one time when I had a logbook, it was me and the company working together to try to get miles. Now they have the company policing my logbook, and the DOT is holding my company responsible instead of holding us both responsible equally. Now they don't inspect me. They say, hey, whatever company, send me all your data from all your drivers. We're going to do a DOT inspection on your logbooks. They never leave their office. When we were young, it was us and the company against them. Now it's Everyone's against the driver.
Yep.
Even the brokers, even though.
And the way that they word that now, Bob, is they're doing log audits.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole dynamic, once they introduced the ELD, the dynamic of our the people that are paying us literally changed. They now are in charge of policing us, not the DOT.
You can say the brokers are even policing you too, because they ask permission for your ELD and everything else. So it's just not even the company. So now you got to make sure that matches what you have through what you gave to that broker. And if something doesn't match when you do an audit that year.
Didn't I just hear something about AI is going to start taking control of your fuel receipts or how many gallons you're getting based off your mileage and your speedometer or something like that?
No, they're trying to use that as a tax. So they're trying to do that so they can tax these companies and these owner ops for the fuel mileage in each state. So it's a tax on top of the IFTA tax.
Of course.
It's another way for them to get into our pocket.
Right. They can track when this truck is on and off, literally.
Wow.
That's the thing I tell everybody.
I don't have to worry about all that now.
Well, and that's what I tell everybody nowadays. You got cameras looking at you. If you look at, go to any state and look at road conditions, right? There's going to be a camera on a bridge showing that video of it. Don't think they can't look at that camera. We actually had guys running stop signs. We were hauling oversized. And they said they opened up the scale like 20 miles up the road, and they said, "Hey boys, why don't you guys just pull on in here? You guys
Wow.
stop signs." And yeah, they wrote them all tickets for it. So the cameras, you're tracked everywhere you go.
Sure.
Sure. Even on the back roads, they can watch it.
Yep.
I mean, don't try to dodge scales anymore, because that shit's out the window. Because you're gonna turn on a road that's 100 miles away from a scale house. 20 miles down the road, there's going to be a DOT officer right there waiting for you.
Have you looked into the flock cameras at all and what the flock cameras are capable of doing?
Those are in Florida, right?
They're across the country. They're everywhere.
Tell us about that. Yeah, I heard a little bit.
So flock cameras are everywhere. And here's how crazy this is. These cameras basically, I'll give you a real life thing that happened. A friend of mine, she borrowed her mom's car. She went, she was going to the hospital. She dialed 911 in her mom's car, but the phone got jammed. She had an iPhone and she had to turn it off and reboot it. Then the battery died. While this is happening and she's driving to the hospital, a cop came up behind her and pulled her over. He said, "Is everything okay? You dialed 911. And she said, "How do you know that? I'm in my mom's car and my phone died." He said, "Well, when you dialed that, we were able to triangulate your phone Bluetooth to this car, and that flock camera from the license plate was able to tell that you were in this car because you were Bluetooth to the serial number of this car that matches the license plate. And I now knew I was looking for a blue Oldsmobile and that you were in it, even though it's not your car."
Yep.
That's the kind of technology we have today. She dialed 911, her phone died, but the cop pulled her over 15 minutes afterwards. I mean, that was easy for them to do.
I mean, that's how they caught a lot of these car thefts that are going on now, right? Because somebody will steal a car in one city, and then they'll just pull up to the guy's house 200 miles away and be like, "Hey, you just stole this car 2 days ago." You know what I mean?
No, that's crazy. I just stopped at a wreck like 3 days ago. Guy ran off the bridge, flipped his truck over, and before we could even call 911, they already had the ambulance, the police, and everything was already dispatched all off of his iPhone. It reported in that he had an accident. And when we called, they were like, "Yeah, we know about it." I'm like, it just happened. It couldn't have been like a minute, you know. If I was going down to see if the guy was okay, and I didn't even need to call 911 because it was already called. But yeah, no, he's getting crazy.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, they got cameras. They can see if you have a seatbelt on from a half a mile. Half a mile, they'll shoot you a picture 2 miles before you get to the scale. It doesn't matter that you put your seatbelt on going into the scale anymore. They got a picture of you 2 miles before it.
They can tell you if you're about to have a heart attack before you get to a scale. Have you seen those yet? South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa's all been practicing with them. They can tell what your heart rate is before you go into the scale to see if you're having a heart attack. That's the technology we have.
And don't forget, they keep record of it. They keep record of it and store it forever in case they need it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, for whatever reason. Yeah.
I've never heard that.
And here's the thing: if you get a ticket in one of these states, don't be a fucking dick. Just take the ticket, because all they're gonna do is you have a free pass in here. They're gonna fucking flag your free pass every time you go into that state, and they will pull you in every time just because you wanted to be a dick once.
So that heart rate thing, they've been doing that. There's another reason they check for your heart rate. And this was years ago. Deb and I were going through, we came out of Kingman and we were going down towards Phoenix on that road. And we went through one of those little towns, Sunrise or something like that. And Deb was driving. She had never been pulled over in her career by a DOT officer. Going through the town, he pulled out behind her. He kicked on the lights. Deb said, "Oh my God, get in the seat. I've never been pulled over." I said, "Do you see me?" And she said, "I don't care. Get in the seat." So I get in the seat. Cop, he comes up and he kind of looks at me, and I can tell he's looking at me like, "Who are you?" And I went, "She's really scared, and she wanted me to get up here because she's terrified." He goes, "No big deal. We're just going to do an inspection." I was like, "Okay, no problem." So I do the inspection with him, help him. And we walk back to his car and we're talking. He said, "Hey, would you consider yourself a relaxed truck driver?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I have this thing I want to put on your finger for your heart rate." And I said, he goes, "You don't have to agree to it, but I just, if you don't mind." I said, "No, I don't mind." And I remember he put it on there. We talked for some more. He pulled it back off and he said, 82. Your heart rate's 8. You really are relaxed. And I went, "Yeah, I've been pulled over a million times."
Yeah, exactly. Part of the job.
He said, and the reason they do that is because, like, people that are doing moving illegal substances or whatever, some people are really good at hiding all those emotions, but their heart rate will say a different story. And I said, "Yeah, well, I'm not." He said, "Well, since she was driving, she has to sign this." And I said, and she was still up in the truck. I was back behind the truck in his car, and I said, "Do you need me to go get her?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Now, I'll tell you what I want you to do. I'm going to tell you that thing, put it on her finger. It's going to be off the charts.
150.
I'm going to go up there, and I'm just going to say to her, 'He wants to talk to you.'" And that's all. I came up, I knocked on the door. She said, I went, "Yeah, he needs to talk to you." And
Well,
she went back, and all she had to do is sign, but he put the thing on her finger, and it was like 115 or something. It was like, "Settle down, honey. It's okay."
That's funny.
I wonder if maybe that might be a tactic to catch people like that's on on the drugs. You know what I mean?
It is. It's if you're smuggling on it, that's what he told me. He said, you can tell a lot by, he goes, you'd be surprised how good at people are of hiding their emotions on the outside, like a poker face. But the heart rate really, whether you're on something or you're doing something and you're hiding it tells them a lot. They said they can figure out something's going on. If you look normal and you got 120 heart rate, something's not right.
Are there people actually still using drugs today? Driving rigs?
Absolutely.
Like, is that a real question?
Yeah, I mean, who in their right?
You can smell them smoking marijuana. They're swerving all over the place. The drug use in this industry is still at its highest levels.
If you want to really test, start looking at people's teeth. Like in the general public, and then start looking at people's teeth in truck stops.
I mean, I don't see why you would. The consequences are so high. The consequences.
Yeah, but it's not only that, but you go into a truck stop and you'll smell somebody that smells like cat piss, and you know that they're smoking the messed up stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just a given.
Monster.
There. That's my
Ooh.
drug I take every day. And right here's the one that Mama takes every day.
Oh yeah, I'm on that too.
I'm on the black stuff only. Black coffee. That's it.
That's
I
me.
drink
Only.
Just black.
coffee depending on the day and depending on the weather, because I can't drink coffee if it's warm outside.
Huh.
We got some old drivers on here that've been driving for a while, like I have.
I drink.
I started driving back in 1990, and I know Bob probably knows it. Cool Harv might. You remember the white crosses that they sold at the fuel counter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Taking
on my-
millions of them.
I was on my way to California, and I used to be stationed out there, and I had a load that was going up where Fort Ord was at, so I was in a hurry to get there. I was running with two other guys, and they were like, here, we're going to stay, we need to stay awake here. I'll give you some of these for later. I didn't know what the hell they were. So we're riding down the road, and I get tired. Well, I popped them. He gave me like 10 of them. I took them all at once. We stopped outside of El Paso so they could take a nap, and they said, yeah, we're going to get up in like 30 minutes. Okay, I walked around the truck like 6 times. I'm banging on the door. Get your asses up. We got to go. We got to go. I made it all the way to freaking somewhere north of LA before I was even ready to go to sleep. And my hair was crawling on my head, man. That shit was walking all over the place.
I'd say the letter 7 smells like the Keller Blue, man.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've tried them all. I'm an old school guy. I've lived in that era, and I've ran hard, and not but that was normal, man.
So with your
Once I learned you were only supposed to take a couple, I was fine.
Back it down a few times, huh?
That's funny.
Maybe one or two more questions before I go, right? So somebody else got the box. But because I don't have anywhere near the experience that some of you guys have, right? I mean, like I said, I'm close to 1 million accident-free miles, 10 years. So when you see a lot of these new drivers at these truck stops, I see a lot of old drivers that refuse to help them. Is there a reason that there's some drivers that will and some drivers that refuse to help anybody?
No, I do. I'll get out, and I've actually backed people's trucks in for them just because they were so frazzled. But there's also that guy when I try to help, and I've got this too. I don't need your help. Please leave me alone. And they've been trying to back in their spot for 20 minutes, and I go, okay, walk away. I'll stand in a parking spot with my flashlight. I'll do anything I can to help anybody, but I think a lot of the older guys are just they're so upset with seeing the lack of training before you even came out on the road that it makes them angry that they're there in the first place.
Can't talk anymore.
Some people don't want the help. Some people don't want help. They're arrogant and they're entitled and they just don't want the help. As traffic is backing up and there's 7 or 8 people trying to get in, they don't need your help. They know everything. So those are the people I won't help. If you're going to argue with me, I'll just go sit in my truck. But if you want the help, I'll help you.
Some of the old stuffers too. Some people got different personalities. So if you say, no, I don't want help once or twice, they feel like that everybody's going to give them that, so they just don't get out and help anymore.
Right.
I even help the guys. I even help the guys that don't speak English. Though I talk about those people a lot, I don't blame those people for being here. Our government invited them, and they made it so they can get this license untrained. It's not their fault that our government said, we have opportunities for you to come here and drive, and that's what they did. I don't hold them personally responsible. So when I see them in the truck stop and they need help, I help them.
See, that's the scary part, right? Because I have family and friends that are on these roads also, and knowing that they're untrained behind an 80,000-pound death missile with my family and friends on these roads scares the shit out of me.
But everybody wants to get mad at the driver and not get mad at the government.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, put the things where it's supposed to go.
It's the
Well, I
company.
mean, there's nothing we can do about it. So, like I said, it just scares the shit out of me knowing that they're out here and there's not a fucking thing.
There is something you can do about it.
There's monies that are feeding this as well. So when you have companies who are going outside of outside of the country and bringing these guys in, feeding them through the government's approving it. You know, it all starts with the companies. And the companies can be.
That's not exactly true. They have companies that are dispatching from Somalia to their drivers here. And when you ask the FMCSA, hey, there's companies that are dispatching from another country, they're resetting the clock here in America, and you are the regulatory committee in this country, why aren't you stopping it? The FMCSA's answer is, we can't. We're not able to.
Thank you, Bob. That's bullshit. They can stop it. You know it just as much as I do, Bob. And that's the thing with this, is that you got the Russians doing it, you got the Somalians doing it, you got the Pakistanis doing it, the Indians are doing it. They're all doing it. And
that question was asked at MATS. The FMCSA goes to the Mid-America Truck Show every year. I watched a man ask that direct question to the FMCSA. Say there are people in other countries resetting clocks and dispatching from other countries, and what are you going to do to stop it? They said, we can't stop it. And the guy said, you are the regulatory committee for hours in this country. And he said, yes, but they're not in our country.
Well, I know that there's 2 Russian companies in Chicago that are doing it.
Oh, yeah.
good.
Yes.
They all do it. And that's
Why can't they just go in there and shut them companies down?
it's the thing. They can, but they won't because it's money.
Oklahoma started doing something about it. Look what Oklahoma started doing. The whole
Oklahoma's getting for it too.
well, who cares about that? You know, it's about our country first.
But in turn for that, what Oklahoma's doing, it's making all these drivers get off the interstate and take these back roads that are far more deadly for them to be on because they don't know them. You know,
Here's my thought. Them Chicago companies you're talking about, if a driver is, getting his clock reset, he should be able to pull it into any scale and say, hey, look, this is what they just did. They should shut that truck down, and that driver should not get no fines, no nothing.
They stopped doing voluntary inspections. There's not
That's what they've been saying.
a house out here that will do a voluntary inspection on a driver now. They stopped doing that, about 5 years ago?
But I'm not even saying inspection. I'm just saying the logbooks are over.
Right, you're right. But they're going to consider that as an inspection, and they won't do it.
Because our government wants the cheap labor here to keep the prices low. Because we are a cost to the economy. Truck driving is a cost to the economy. And this current administration cares about that number a whole lot. They want that number, that GDP will, if they help truck drivers, will directly affect the GDP. So if you go ahead and get rid of all the help that is here really cheap, it's going to cost our country a lot of money. And the price of everything is going to go up.
And it goes back to the argument. Well, who's gonna pick the salad or pick the lettuce out of the field? Americans. But the reason why Americans won't do it is because the companies won't pay a fair living wage to the American to do it.
Well,
and that's how it's going with the trucking industry.
I don't know about all you fellow patriots, but I'm tired of supporting other countries and I'm tired of supporting other people.
Me too. Absolutely.
I don't mind supporting all your families and your states, even though Nevada to me is home and I love Nevada the most. I still would rather my money stay right here. See this line right here? This is where our money needs to stay. Until every man, woman, and child is the middle class. Keep it right here. All right?
The majority of us want it here, but it's the people over there in Washington D.C. that is getting their pockets lined for helping all these other countries.
So I just did a video. Bob actually was the one that educated me on it, on the 28 members of Senate that are involved in trucking, heavily involved in trucking. Bob, I just spent 4 hours today while my daughter was riding her horse. I cropped everything beautifully and I put what their net worth is, what their state is. It's coming out tomorrow. You're going to be impressed. Just watch.
I see the ones on the house, and I commented,
Yeah.
and I said that's a lot of research.
Yeah.
That's a lot of research.
You know what Bob was saying?
I just wanted to say thanks for you guys' time, Bob. It was a pleasure meeting you, sir. You and Deb are probably two of my favorite drivers out here with your bullshit and shenanigans. I love it.
Chris.
You know, you got to smile out here on the road, because if you don't, you're going to cry about it. And crying ain't worth the damn.
Amen. Amen. It was a pleasure meeting you and talking to you, and maybe someday we'll get to run into each other.
Yes, sir. I hope you guys have a good day. Stay safe out there and keep your shiny side up.
E92, nice seeing you, man. Hey everyone, so Chris over on YouTube said, did you hear that Algoma Steel in Canada made a deal with a Korean shipbuilder for 345 million and 200,000 jobs? What's he talking about? Yeah. Chris, can you elaborate on that? Okay. Anyways, let's.
What Bob was saying about the cheap labor. I was rolling 3 lives one night, and Bobby Loads was on there, and this guy came on there, and he was talking about his company that he has and how much he pays his drivers, these foreign drivers. He was paying his guys a whole whopping 25 cents a mile.
Oh my gosh.
And what he was saying, 25 cents a mile. He says, that's how I'm building my empire.
Well, that's how all these truck companies build their empire, by pennies on the dollars, and they're still doing it. Any of these major companies out here right now, for 1 to 5 years, you're only gonna be making 45 to 50 cents a mile. With 1 to 5 years of experience, and you're making less than that coming straight out of the trucking school.
Well,
10 years, they want to put you between the 50 and 60 cent a mile, and it's not keeping up with inflation, right? How, at the end of the day, when you're out here in the truck, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 months, how are you supposed to pay two living costs? You got a living cost here in the truck, and then you got your living costs at home that you got to pay for.
I had 1993, I made $90,000.
damn.
As a company driver.
Yeah, if that same $93,000 that you made back then would probably be worth $330,000 today.
Easy. Yeah.
30 years after, and I talk to guys that still aren't making $90,000. That they make $70,000 and $80,000, and I'm like, how? That doesn't make sense. I was home 4 nights a week, and I had weekends off, and I made $90,000.
How are you guys doing today?
Hey, so when I started out here, when I went out on my own for the first time, I believe the CPM was like 22 cents a mile. Yeah.
Hey, so are you guys talking about non-domiciles? I joined in. I think Shan and Truckers United knows who I am. I've been all about advocating for my side of it, because I feel like you guys simply just put a blanket about the whole situation. And I think I spoke to W. Bob once many months ago. But it's like, it's not fair to blame the drivers. Like in my case, I'm a non-domicile, and it's not fair to blame us over the system not doing their part.
Here's something. Do you understand what non-domicile even means?
I do, but I think you guys don't understand in a way.
No, hold on. So let's
give me a second, because I've heard
domicile mean. Non-domicile doesn't mean someone from another country. Non-domicile means a United States citizen who.
Where does it say that? Where does it say that in the CFR?
are. Where does it specifically say? Where does it say specifically? Where does it specifically say a U.S. citizen? On the.
I can tell you how and why the non-domiciled was created.
Wait, well, give me a second before you start with that, because I've seen your video first, right? So I saw your video one time. You go in the video and you're like, "Oh, in 2016, non-domicile was created by CRST, and
That's
they
right.
had a school, right?" But then you got these other people talking about, "Oh yeah, in 2019, the ATA created a big loophole for all these foreigners." So at the end of the day, you got a whole bunch of people having their own theories, and then when they watch these videos, they get, repeating the video so many times doesn't make it real. I've been researching myself on that rule. At the end of the day, it comes down to this, right? I've had my non-domicile CDL for 12 years, right? 12 years I've had it. I go in with my paperwork. I go in with all the documents required. I go in and submit my documents. They run it through the system, and then I qualify, right? Now, the real issue, let's talk about the real problem here. The real problem isn't the non-domicile. The real problem is that there's a big, everybody talks about it. Well, during the Biden administration, a bunch of foreigners came in during the last 4 or 5 years, and they came and they're driving with no English. The question shouldn't be how many of those people became truckers. The question should be how were they able to get their license without speaking English? That is the thing. That's what I advocated. My thing, I am not against the ELP. I'm not against the safety. It's just not fair for all of us that have been doing it the right way to get punished for those things.
I believe you're right, and I don't say that. If you listen to the words in my videos, I made a video about non-domicile, but I can tell you what I say exactly in my videos. I say unqualified drivers. That's who I talk about. The people that have those licenses that aren't qualified to have those licenses. And part of a qualification of having a CDL is speaking English. That's a qualification.
So here's the thing. What's the sense in having, what was it, the B1 visa? B1, I think that's what it is, right? The B1 visa?
Yeah, but that's under the whole different deal that Canada and Mexico deal that they get to cross state lines to, they're not supposed to do load share, and they do, and that's a whole separate issue.
The cabotage. We're not talking about cabotage.
The non-domicile was created because of Jack Smith living in North Carolina, getting a Jack Smith. I can't remember what year this was. I think it was like.
See what I mean, right? Like you have different stories. You have different stories of how.
Jack Smith, what? I'll look it up real quick.
I can tell you the story. I can tell you the whole story.
But this is my thing. Like this is my thing, right? There's the big thing on social media or the news, right? That non-domiciles are foreigners that cannot speak English and that are here illegally, right? My solution, somebody told me, right? Because I've been here doing this for 12 years. Somebody told me, hey, well, what's your way to do about it? My way is if you got nothing to hide. If they were to tell all non-domiciled, hey, you got 12 or you got 2 weeks to go to your nearest DMV, resubmit a test in English, and reintroduce all your paperwork to show that you're here legally. And then if you're good, and if not, you're out. Since there was a loophole created, and there was obviously something went wrong. Because even myself, I'm like, how are these people getting their license without English? It doesn't make sense. But what I'm not fighting for the English part. What I'm fighting is that they include us all in the bunch. Now, why nobody points at the fingers at the government that allowed this to happen? Why not just, plain and simple, dude. If they tell us go submit your paperwork, I'll do it. Go take a test again, I'll do it.
Here's what I don't understand. Are you DACA? Are you a?
Yeah.
So here's what I don't understand about the whole DACA people. If you're a deferred citizen, why haven't the DACA drivers have sued the government over this stuff? Why don't they get together and say, guess what? It's been 30 years that I've been a deferred citizen. We're truck drivers. We've been here for 30 years. And why don't they sue the government and say, we're no longer deferred. We've been here for 30 years.
Yeah, we've been fighting this battle, dude. And I guess that's more of a citizen thing. I've been fighting that battle. At the end of the day, dude, politicians, no matter, I'm all for, this is the thing I say. I'm not no Democrat. I'm not no Republican because both parties do. They just use us. When I say us,
and divide us. Yeah.
They only bring up DACA. You know when there were elections coming up because they want my family to vote. But then as soon as they get elected, I'm not here defending Biden. I'm not here attacking Trump. I'm here defending me and my wallet and my family.
There we go.
These politicians, they don't care about us. But my thing is,
DACA is used as a tool just because exactly why you're here, because you're this DACA. They put you in this hard place. And then when I say, hey, man, we have unqualified people here, and then they go after the people that DACA that have been here for 30 years, then the DACA people start screaming, and then they get to say, look, these truck drivers are racist because they're bitching about unqualified people, but you're not unqualified, and I'm not talking about you. So that's why I started saying unqualified truck drivers, because you're as qualified as I am. You've been 12 years, you know that we speak perfect. But they put you in this place, the government, the politicians did. So when I speak up, they can say Bob's being racist against the
Bingo.
No, yeah, and I've done many videos, and I've actually defended that side, because there's people that come into my lives, and they're like, there's somebody that told me, well, Americans are just lazy, right? I'm like, nah, bro, you shouldn't be saying that, because we can't really say that, right? We can't really do that. We can't say that. We can't come here and fight about why they're including all of us as non-domiciles and then include all Americans in the same group. Yes, there's lazy Americans, there's lazy Mexicans, there's lazy everything. You know, at the end of the day, it comes down. So my thing is this, man. I'm not against the English part. I'm not against the safety part. I'm just against being thrown in the same bus as everybody. If the government fucked up, excuse my language, if the government screwed up, because even me, dude, I'm like, how did these people get their license? Nobody's looking at that. Yes, now, simply, dude, make us take a test, man. Make us retest. Make us submit the paperwork.
I wish that exactly that would solve the problem, and I would volunteer. Go ahead and make me take the written, the pre-trip, the doubles and triples, and I'll retest everything I have to do in the English language.
Because like, yeah, man. Sean, I spoke to Sean before, man, and a lot of people.
You're saying that you know, they're putting you in the same group. I mean, they've been doing that to Americans and tax brackets. You know, look at if you make this much money, $1 over it, you're in that tax bracket where the guy that's making on the high end of it. I get where you're coming from. It's a system that should not be. It ain't right. But
it's like something Bob said earlier, right? People keep blaming the asylum seekers. Why are you gonna blame somebody that's applying for a program that's available? It's their fault. You know, why is the program there in the first place? You know, but it's like stuff like that. All I'm saying, man, is like, you know, when I come out and speak, I spoke to Vince before. I'm not against America. I'm not against the safety. I'm not against the English. I'm saying, hey, give me my shot to prove that I'm qualified and that I meet all the guys. Because as of now, they just do it all out. They say you guys are all out. I'm like, bro, how's that fair, you know? And that's where I'm at. That's my quarter. I'm not here pointing fingers at you guys as Americans. I'm trying to be an American myself, man. Just waiting for my turn.
You are an American, bro. You are.
Spanish community. I've spoken to the Punjabi. I've spoken to the Sikh Indians, to elders. Like literally, got on the phone with conference calls and translators. I talked to Cuban people, the Cuban elder, and believe it or not, most of those people like me. They follow me. They like, hey, you're saying the right thing, and we all came to the same agreement. The government is convoluting this on purpose. And it's making it hard for someone to advocate for this industry, because you got people like you that as a deferred citizen been here 12 years and you're more than qualified, but they have a guy that came over here 2 weeks ago. Here's how I know they're here for just a few days, because I stand in the truck stop and I listen when I'm waiting for a shower. And this happened last week. It happened the week before. Some guy comes in and says, I need to turn on the fuel pump. The lady says, what's your driver ID number? And she goes, no, I don't want your driver's license number. And they have to go through this thing. Then he calls somebody, gets his driver ID number to turn on the fuel pump. You know, the only time you do that is when you're a new employee. The only time you have to figure out how to get fuel for your truck is when you're brand new. When you're fresh in this country, you're
Rookie.
Yes. And he can't speak, read, write English, and that's how I know they're still coming here every day.
Yeah, my thing is this, man, because sometimes I go on people's lives, because I get to people's lives and they're solely attacking. And my thing is, hey, there has to be a gray area, man. And there has to be a gray area where at the end of the day, we can't, you know, somebody so in case you guys don't know, I'm the one that actually sued FMCSA. I'm the one that did the lawsuit, right? So I get a bunch of comments, a lot of hate messages is, oh, you're against America. If you don't like it, go back to your country. Somebody messaged me saying, let's make trucking white again.
Don't focus on that, bro. That's probably a Fed talking to you, man. Don't focus on that BS, you know?
What I'm getting at is, would it be fair for those group of people that are telling me that for me to you guys all think the same way? It's not, right? You shouldn't generalize. That's my main thing, generalization.
Right.
Yeah.
People are gonna hate you for doing things. Right. So,
Bingo.
you're always
Bingo. Bingo. Bingo.
doing stuff right.
Yep. Yep.
A lot of us don't. They're not doing that. They try to make it about, everybody tries to make it about us and them when actually in a whole, we're all trucks.
Yeah. So you know what we do? We focus on we the people. We focus on the patriot. We focus on the individual. And we stop letting them divide us. Stop talking about red or blue, white or brown. None of that shit matters. What matters is the American spirit. That's what matters. And when we unite as Americans, we, instead of saying I'm white or I'm brown or I'm this or I'm that. No. We love America. We're patriots, and to hell with the government because they're screwing everything up. We figure it out together. We got to stop including the government on our shit, our lives. Enough.
The problem is we've let it get so far. We are outnumbered on the fuel island. I don't care what fuel island you go to, pick a place anywhere in this country. If there's 14 pumps, you go walk across them, talk to everybody, and tell me how many red-blooded Americans that speak English that you're going to run into.
And that's by design. That is by design. Look what's happening in Europe right now. Look at the Irish. Has anybody here been focusing or watching the Irish lately? Like, they're getting ready to pick up arms. They're to that point. We're not there yet, but
Let me bring one thing up real quick. The whole EOP thing, it shouldn't matter if you're here as a foreigner or a citizen, because I know a bunch of citizens that cannot speak no English. That man, that should be for everybody. Because tell me something, what difference would it make if let's say I would have came to this country a year ago, I got married to a citizen and became a citizen today? Does that mean I'm safer suddenly, magically, because I'm a citizen now? The English EOP is very important. It should be for everybody. And that's
well, it's a little more complicated than that, though, brother.
To drive a truck, it's a requirement. It has been a requirement.
Yeah.
And if you're not,
and we're all for it.
You're not qualified to drive a truck.
It's so simple. It's so simple.
Relax on that EOP.
We agree that there was an issue that somebody dropped the ball by stopping enforcing that. Somebody reduced that enforcement, and that caused all this. Because if that enforcement, the EOP, would have been top notch all these years, the people that came, even they came during asylum, they speak no English, they wouldn't have been able to get their CDL.
It was released it was relaxed in 2016 by the FMCSA. Sent out letters. I can tell you the guy's name to every state, to every scale house in the country, and said, you no longer are enforcing English proficiency. You can use a translator app from now on.
Yeah, so my thing is this: there's some bigger strings that got pulled, and it's not fair to blame the driver over those guys are not being looked at. I mean, Bob said you are, and kudos to you. But there's some bigger strings that got pulled, and we all got dragged into this.
Oh yeah, that's what the government's good at. The government's very good at it.
You were dragged into this on purpose. They purposefully went after DACA people when you started trying to say, hey, there's unqualified people. They went after the DACA people to stop exactly from fixing the problem. They brought you in so they didn't have to fix the problem.
One last thing is I'm about to hop off. I take my 30-minute break and I take advantage of this moment. One last thing before I get off, because a bunch of people are watching this. When I've been in this country since I was 2. It's more than 35 years, and many people ask me, "Wow, you've been here so long. Why didn't you do it the right way or become a citizen?" They don't know how the immigration system works, man. They don't know how the immigration system is.
You have no path forward. They didn't make it.
There's no line
or purpose.
And every 2 years, people don't know DACA. Every 2 years, we get our fingerprints taken. We pay our fees. and we do an FBI background check. So if there was a way for me to do it one time, man, I would hop in that bag wagon. Tell me how much I gotta pay, dude.
You are
We're living on a subscription plan.
You are DACA, and you are a tool for politicians. And you have been since you were 30 years. You're a tool the government uses.
When you get
Oh, what was that? What was the statement?
I think people wait to vote when you get up there, do they?
I can't vote, so
I know. That's he's for politics, but like how to eventually.
so just to
the politicians.
Yeah, I just want people to know, man. Non-domiciles, we're not against you. There is bad apples. We all know that there's people that shouldn't be driving, but all I'm fighting for is for a fair chance to let me show that I'm worth, the driving in the truck. That's all we're fighting for, man.
Amen.
Retest everybody. Retesting everybody would fix the problem.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Later, bro. Thanks for coming in. That's why we brought you up, man. What's up, Mike?
I appreciate it.
All right.
What was that, Moonshine?
There, Rivera. I got a thing. You was talking about how long it takes. I got a friend that's gone through the same deal. Had a green card since he was like 7 years old. Been trying for the last 4 years to get a green card and still doesn't have it. Been here for the last 40 some years. They wonder why people don't want to go through the process. And this person has every green card that they've had since the day they got their first one up until now, and still 4 years still doesn't have their green card.
It's crazy.
People don't know. People say do it the right way, but what is the right way? There's no line. People say get in line. There's no line. That doesn't exist.
Does DACA have a lawsuit in place with the government now? Has DACA sued the government for holding them up, for being deferred this long?
No, so there's no lawsuit. What it is there's a bill that's being introduced. It's called the Dream Act. But again, why do you think that's bill being introduced now, currently, right now? Why do you think midterms are coming out?
Yeah.
It's a go nowhere bill, but I would love to see the DACA people get together and file a class action suit against the government and make it to the Supreme Court, because it's ridiculous what they've done to the DACA people for the last 40 years.
Dude, I can tell you today, the Pledge of the United States, and I don't know the Mexico one. And that's the thing. And what's the funny part? I went to Mexico, because people say go back to your country, man. I went to Mexico in August.
It's not your country, though. This is your country. This is all you know.
I went to Mexico in August, and I'm talking to my kids, and somebody asked me, hey, what part of the U.S. are you from? And I'm like, what gave it away? I'm speaking in Spanish over there, right? He's like, your American accent. I was like, oh, what? Tell them that. They think I don't speak English. I got an American accent, I guess. You guys have a great night.
All right, you too.
You too, man. Appreciate you coming in. Check out our website, WeTheTruckers.com.
Who's talking? Who's that? Jason? Hey, how's it going, man? We're talking. The subject tonight is professionalism. What do you think about being a true professional in the trucking industry? What's your take, brother?
I used to be a trucker back in the day. I used to drive over the road, putting up the Hunt Point Market a half dozen times. And I'm just listening to everything y'all are saying. And, I own a septic business now. So, I'm still kind of sort of in the trucking industry, but not, over the road truck drivers. I got out of trucking whenever all this ELT and they wanted you to do this, and the Lowe's weren't paying for crap. I was like, it's time to get out of trucking. And I stepped out of trucking. I got into the septic industry. But I think it's kind of interesting, listen to everybody up here speak about, non-speaking drivers that don't speak English, driving trucks and stuff like that. Because it sticks to me a little bit, because I have a few drivers that don't have a CDL that tried to get their CDL, and I've been trying to teach them how to drive. And they called these schools down in Miami, and these guys down there in Miami are saying, "Go give us $10,000, and we'll give you."
Wow. Oh.
You know, and it's like why? Like, you got to learn how to drive. You know, back in the day, back when I was driving a truck, it was just me and my mom. She put me in a Peterbilt 379 with a 48 spread axle in downtown Manhattan. Said, "You want to learn how to drive? This is how you gonna learn."
That's awesome. That's awesome. I like that. I like that.
You can't get that kind of experience at all these schools. I just don't think it's a thing.
Not anymore.
No, you're supposed to get the experience. The schools are supposed to give you the knowledge to get your CDL. The companies is where you get your experience.
Then I get all these drivers that come in and say, "Well, you have any trucks or automatics?" It's like, learn how to drive a stick shift. Why should you have to downgrade to automatics for your comfort?
Hey, Jason, don't feel bad. 11 years ago, when I first started, when I went to trucking school for 6 weeks, right? And when I got my CDL and I went to my first company job, I literally did. I'm not kidding, right? I'm not just saying this. I did not know how to hook up a truck to a trailer. I didn't know how to hook one up. They didn't teach me. I had a legal Nevada commercial driver's license, and I did not know how to hook up a truck to a trailer. Is that right?
The school is not that's the misconception that everybody has about these trucking schools. The trucking school is not there to teach you how to do these things.
Mine did.
The trucking school
still taught me how to back under a trailer.
Yes, they teach you some of the basics, right? They teach you some of the basics to get you the license, right? It's the companies that you go to is supposed to be responsible in teaching you on how to be a truck driver. But you can't get that level of training when the trainers themselves are lazy and they don't want to train. We see it out here every single day.
Well, that's the way.
Sean could talk on that.
When
Yeah.
I left trucking school, I backed up almost as good as I do now. 36 years later, I had a guy teach me in a school when I could hit an alley dock before I left that school without pull-ups.
You're supposed to do that. You're supposed to do your pull. You're supposed to do your backing. You're supposed to. You learn your offsets, your parallel.
They don't teach it no more.
45. They don't teach you no more.
Alley dock isn't part of it. They don't teach you how to back under a trailer.
And they should. And they should.
That's why you see all these companies taking on the school role. You got all these big companies out here saying, "Okay, you come to our program, you sign this contract, we're going to teach you everything you need to know about driving a truck." They're the ones who's going to put you out and teach you how.
Basically, it's all about the money now.
It is.
That, and there you go. Yes.
Just the money. You know?
There you go.
They bypass everything, every requirement that a truck driver should have. Like, for example, Jorge was there. He's a DACA recipient. I'm also a DACA recipient. You know, like, basically, I have my license for almost 10 years. It's all about common sense, you know. It's all about, when you're on the road, I tell people, when you're on the road, it's all about reading signs. For example, I'm from the Northeast. I live in the Northeast. When you go to New York, it's all about reading signs.
Yes. Yes. There we go.
So you gotta read the signs. Once you get into New York, it says parkways illegally for truckers. So you gotta follow that. Don't follow the parkways. Follow different routes. My dad been a truck driver for almost 25 years. Guess what he did when he was driving? He used to call me like, "Jose, listen, go into the computer," because there was no GPSs back then. It was MapQuest. I don't know if you guys remember. It was MapQuest and the maps. It was MapQuest
and it was slow as hell. It was slow as hell.
And he used to tell me, "Listen, I'm gonna go to this direction, to this address. Can you please tell me like where to go? If I go north, then I'm coming south. I'll make a left. I'll make a right." But he was cautious about it. You know what I mean? It was all about common sense. But the thing is, people nowadays,
They only think about the money now. Though. Like the school, that's why they bypass. That's why that what's happening right now about the the non-domicile. Like I'm a non-domicile, but until now, thank God, I have never had an accident. I've been over the road. I say people, the only state I never went, it was Alaska or Maine. Those are the only two states I never went. I don't know them, But when you're on the road, it's all about signs. Come on, you gotta read.
Amen.
People be like, you racist. I'm like, bro, it's not being racist. It's about common sense.
How many
You live here, you gotta learn that. You know what I mean? It's about always common sense.
How
Bro,
many
like,
trucks do you think they pull a day off the Garden State Parkway from a guy who doesn't speak a word of English?
and
With his tandems back, with his tandems all the way back.
now listen to this, right? On the Garden State Park in New Jersey, you can drive it until a certain exit. But there's a sign that says right there, all trucks get off right now.
Tom's
You know
Brook.
what I mean?
And Tom's Brook. Anything about Tom's Brook?
Exactly. So I tell people, come on, bro.
Hey, with the money gun.
You know what
There we
I
go.
went to school to get my CDL. I paid $7,500 back then, and I had to pass my test.
Dang.
Everything was in English, And then now people just bypass it because they don't care about the money. They don't care about doing the test, right? They don't care about doing anything else, right? And guess who pays the price?
Oh my gosh.
My family lived from me, Like, for example, I had a trucking business about 3 years ago. I closed it down because there's people coming into the business. They don't know nothing about the business. They don't know nothing about, how to do the math, about how much you got to spend on tires, how much you got to spend on fuel. Exactly. It's just so stupid. Like, I had a broker one time. He was like, I called him for a load. He had to post it for $1,500, I think. I was like, I can do it for $1,800, which it was good, And he's like, all right, give me a second. And then he said, oh, somebody already got it for 14. Can you do it lower? I said, man, he can do it for 14. I ain't gonna do it for lower than what my price is. You know what I mean? So I just I shut down my business.
It'd be worth it.
I ain't gonna break my head for no cheap money, So it's just people. Like I said, it's all about common sense right now, People are so stupid.
Industry from even back when is these drivers were taking these lowball loads and you couldn't make any money on it. If it's not worth driving your truck, then why drive it?
You know what, guys, though? Hey, if you guys all want to talk about the common sense, I think a lot of people talk about common sense. Bob, earlier you were talking about all the gauges that you have on your truck. When we're looking at 1,000 gauges and we have to critically think about what are all of those and your brain's constantly spinning and thinking, you have common sense. But today they make everything so simple that a monkey can drive or play with or operate something. So it makes common sense go out the window. That's the problem, L Jr. You know what I'm saying? You have common sense, bro. You probably, I'm assuming, have grown up with some of that stuff, right? But today, like if you're 21 or 22, everything's simple. So you don't have complex things to make you smarter.
You really don't even have to scan it. Like you're supposed to scan 10 seconds. You look at the mirror, then you look at your windshield.
Yeah.
You look at your gauges. Like that stuff. I mean, you should be still doing that, but like, really teach that anymore. Because the truck is, hey, you go.
But
it's not like it was. So
think of for us.
It's kind of a rough shape how we're. The new technology is just making it to where you're saying you can get more people that don't really even know how to. All you gotta do is hold a steering wheel and push the pedal.
And that's by design. That's.
I tell people, like, I'm driving on the road, I gotta think what 5 people in front of me are thinking because, like you driving. You assume, oh, that guy's gonna mess up right now. And you just, you know what I mean? Like you just thinking, like for example, about my brother's also he's a DACA recipient, so we've been truck drivers for years, So he one day he was driving on the road, and there was a guy. He saw the guy about half a mile down the road, right? And he's looking at the car swerving back and forward to like the lane, right? So he was like, you know what? Let me pull over to the side, to the shoulder, just to be cautious. And guess what the guy did? Right head on into him, right? The guy died right there on the scene. The cop came, DOT came, state trooper.
Damn.
And they say,
listen, it's not your fault. You know, you did what you're supposed to do. You know, air to your shoulder, right? So,
Guys, my phone's
it's
about to
always
die.
about thinking ahead.
Pick 'em up. I appreciate it. Y'all be safe.
Well, Harvey, later, brother.
I got something for you to try one time while you're out there on the road. While you're out, just look at the people in front of you, the way they're driving. And get up beside them. See if it's a female driver, or if it's a young guy, or if it's an old guy, or older female. I can literally look at the car and tell who is driving it by the reactions that they're doing. If they're speeding, I guarantee it's going to be a young kid bucking up through there, you know. But those are the things that your brain actually trains to it. So when you see that reaction, you already know what you're doing before you get it.
People don't know how to drive anyway.
As you can read cars, you know the dumb stuff they're about to do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I can see it already, you know. Yep.
Well, you know, you was talking about that. I had one this morning. I was sitting in line at PetSmart, lined up the gate. And I'm sitting there and I'm pulling up and I see this van, this little minivan coming up the street on the wrong side. It's a 2-lane road going in there. And all of a sudden this van whips in front of me, goes over there and parks, and it's the freaking security guard. So I get up there to the guard shack and I walk in there. I said, do you not realize that every truck nowadays has a camera up there in the windshield to see the stupid shit you just did?
Right? Yeah, it's not the 80s anymore.
And I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it was fine. You were only doing like 2 miles an hour. I said, that's besides the point. You were on my left side going the wrong way down the street. You just whipped in front of me. You didn't roll down the window and say something. You didn't put on your turn signal. Don't head move like that. That's going to get your ass killed one of these days.
You know, people say there's no such thing as a time traveler, but I tell people all the time, just go look for a commercial truck driver. We're always going 6 to 7 seconds in the future. Every day, all day long. All the time. I tell my wife all the time, we'll be driving, I'll be like, watch, this guy's going to get in your lane without his blinker, or, you know, I'll just tell her what people are going to do. And 7 out of 10 times I'm right. You know, we read the future. We have to prevent accidents every day.
You know, guys, listen, you know, this is what I think, right? Because I'm going to tell you a story about me a little story about me, right? I came here when I was, 9-10 years old to the United States, right? The thing is, a lot of people come here to the United States and bring their culture here. And unfortunately, people from out here, from the States, their culture is messed up. Their education is messed up. You know, they don't follow signs. They don't follow nothing. You know what I mean? So they want to come here and just want to act like, oh yeah, we like, you know, we in our country. You know what I mean? No, you got to get used to this. You got to get used to this system right here. That's all I tell people. You got to get used to the damn system here. You know,
Grandpa,
I don't think it's people that don't know how to read. I just think it's people that don't give a crap about these signs.
Right.
My grandpa had a 5th grade education when he started trucking. He dropped out at 5th grade and actually got into a truck and was driving. Was it legal? No, he didn't have it. That was the time in the license. But he had a 5th grade education and he made it across America. So really, they can't read signs because in 5th grade, I don't think that's when they were teaching how to, you know, what this means. Somebody that cares and says, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do for a living. And they learn the industry and what is taught to actually make it to go, you know? So, I don't know if it's an education.
Son, there's also this aspect of it. I was born in the United States. I've been a passenger in a car all my life until I was 16. And then I got a license when I was 16. I learned how to drive a car. When I was 18, I got a truck driver's license. But I've been in America since I was born. These people come into this country from countries that don't even have roads.
Yeah.
But still, though, even if they didn't have roads and they want, it would take that integrity to actually learn how to do it, and that's not what they're doing. People are even, like I said, even Americans. There's Americans that can't drive to save their life, and they shouldn't be with. It's because they're not doing like how we started out with. hey, let me learn everything I possibly can. You get them in a truck nowadays, like, oh, I already know how to drive. I'm like, yeah, well,
That's where you get the Florida situation. That's where you get the U-turn in Florida. That's where you get the situation in Southern California that happened in Ontario. That's where those things come from. I mean, my boys right now, my 3 boys, they've all been driving since they were 9 or 10, you know? Like when we go hunting, they're on my lap out there in the dirt driving, right? And then when they're 10, they're completely on their own on dirt trails driving. You know what I mean? So it's like Bob said, you know, we've all been probably driving even without a permit since we were 12 or 13, right? Backing up cars, stuff like the trailers, you know. Go ahead.
Tell me, people don't see this as a profession no more. Like this CDL, being a truck driver is a profession, just like being a lawyer, being a doctor, being whatever. This is a profession. People don't see it like that no more. That's why there's so much nonsense going on. You know, this is
Yes.
I got my certificate, I got my diploma. I said, listen, I don't know, it's funny, but I gotta hang it on my wall in my house because I graduated from freaking. I didn't go to college. I didn't go.
That's not silly, bro. You should be proud of that. You should be proud of that.
I love being a truck driver. That's my profession. It's like being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a nurse, being whatever, you know. But people don't see that anymore because they just don't care, you know.
That's because they're ignorant. They don't realize without you bringing them their stuff, they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't have a job. They wouldn't go to the hospital. They wouldn't have anything without us. It's simple.
That's why, because there's people not treating this as a profession no more. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't care. They just, oh yeah, I'm a truck driver. You know, I'm just going down the road. You know,
It comes down to the government. Once again, we are deemed as an unskilled labor. We are classified as an unskilled labor on purpose. And the second we can change the classification of a driver and have a graduated pay scale, just like an electrician does or a plumber, the second we can,
exactly.
If we could do that, reclassify truck drivers, the pay would fix itself. The quality of work would fix itself.
Yep. Right. Yeah, but you know when you got, it's easy to blame truck drivers for everything. It's like if you live in the bad part of town and this gets stolen, that gets stolen, they blame it on the local crackhead. Why? Because the crackhead ain't going to stand up for himself and try to do better. So it's easy to blame the truck driver for everything. Oh, the truck driver did this, the truck driver did that. It's easy because there's no camaraderie in this industry. People don't stick up for each other. They don't stand together.
And you know what?
It's insane the way this business has gotten over the years.
If we could support each other and check each other, like what I hear the 60s and 70s and 80s were, I would love to see that time come back where somebody got their butt, you know what, for doing something stupid or illegal or there you go. There you go.
You know the difference between now and then? The difference between now and then is the all of the bullshit, over-regulation, and in the mixture of under-regulation on whatever is good for the people at the top. And that's exactly where all the problems that we have come from. So if you look at it and you go, okay, well, we have problems with the foreigners. We have problems with the ELDs. We have problems with the schooling being bad. We have problems with this, problems with that. Well, if you look at it, where does it all stem from? It all stems from the top. So if there was some, you know, I don't know how to say how to fix it. That's the problem.
It's us, brother. It's us.
I understand that.
Yeah.
We have to stem out and get into the government end of it in order to get to that point. And that's going to be, you know, Bob, you need to go run for Senate and get your ass into that regulation.
Yeah.
We need to get some truck drivers in there. You know what?
Senate Murphy. I like it. Hey, Senator Murphy.
Right now, we have the power in this country, and truck drivers would be the largest voting bloc in America if we would make sure that we didn't vote for the incumbent. The senator, there are 435 senators that have an election this year. We could get rid of every single one of them, and there's 33 senators. There's 435 congressmen and 33 senators that we could vote out this year, but they won't because everybody wants to pull the blue lever or the red.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Yeah, I hear that, and that's a big problem I see as well. You know,
I think people are waking up, though. It feels like to me people are waking up.
If you look at our president, right? I don't look at our president as a Republican. I don't think he's a Republican. I think he's more. Me personally, I think he's more of a constitutionalist. I mean, he thinks about. And people can say whatever they want. Yeah, he's arrogant. Yeah, he's got yellow hair. Whatever you want to say about him, it doesn't matter. You know what? The man is he has a brilliant mind. He thinks business, and that's how you have to run things. And he does a great job at it. I mean, you can't really tell me anything bad that he's done. I mean, it's kind of the same way, you know, if we got a guy up in Michigan that's running for governor, and he's a truck driver. And I really am, I'm sick to my stomach that I can't come up with his name off the top of my head.
Wait, who is he? For what? I'll look it up.
He's running for governor in the state of Michigan, and he's a truck driver. The dude is awesome. I love his videos. I love everything he stands for. And I'm going to vote for him. If he runs, I'm going to vote for him. He's, you know, and he's not running as you know, I don't even know what he's going to classify himself as, but he's.
Is it Anthony Hudson? Yeah, Anthony Hudson. I just looked it up.
He's a little fruity, but you know what? Maybe that's what we need. We need to mix it up. Put a normal person in. He's a normal person.
Yes. I'm with you on that. Yeah.
He's not running around with a suit and tie on and trying to get paid.
Have you talked to him? Have you spoke to him?
Not in person.
See, that's where you can have somebody in office, but somebody's got to speak to him and say, hey, these are the problems, because he doesn't know what the problems are until somebody speaks up. And it only takes one.
Well, and obviously there's so much crap in that revolution of government, you know, as far as all of the problems, right? I mean, you put the quotation marks there, and what's good and what's bad, and oh, you can't do this because then, you know, I mean, how many times have you seen somebody in the government do something good and get absolutely lambasted for it? You know, on both sides. I see that happen constantly, and it's like people support this guy, they vote him in, the guy goes and does something good, and it's still not enough. You know, it's not enough. They're not doing enough. It's not snap, snap, snap. You know, arrest everybody, deport everybody, have it all done in 6 weeks. That ain't gonna happen. You know damn well it ain't gonna happen.
Well, Lonely Trucker, you know what I found? I looked up the 28 senators out of 100 that are with the United States Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. And you know what I found? I took a picture of all 28. I made a video. And then on Google, I accidentally went to one of their net worth. And I saw what it is today in 2026 compared to before 2018, like before they started. Every single one's wages have went up. Literally like 99%. Every single one started at like 115K, 200K. And they're all now, you know, 10, 12, 50 million, 100 million. The guy from Montana, 300 million. So I'm actually cutting a video tomorrow to show it. So of course, they are heavily involved in trucking. Let me ask you a question, brother. Why would they care? When they have $300 million, you think they're thinking about us sweating our you-know-what off in Alabama in July? You think they care we're in a 72 square foot box? When they're trying to buy property, their fourth property somewhere, they don't care.
No, it's just like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you look at these people, they're just, at the beginning, they're just a normal, everyday American person. They run for this, they have big ambitions, they go and do this thing, they get into office, and then everything flips because they have the influence in order to go in and take advantage of
Something happens. Yeah.
It's unbelievable that you know, how many people are in the government? 400 and what? How many? You guys know that number.
435 for what? For Congress? 435.
Okay, so there's 435 people that have the power over millions, you know, and it's really, unfortunately, to me, that's the problem, is they have the power.
Oh, wait.
You know,
The power.
Yeah, 435.
Somehow there's got to be some way that this, obviously there is a way. We vote them all out and we start over and we put new blood in there.
It's strengthening the patriot, I think. That's what I think.
Try to vote for, get people to get in that are patriots, that are willing to be you know what? I want to go run for Congress. I want to go run for Congress, but guess what? I'm still a damn truck driver. So guess what? I'm going to do everything by Zoom, and I'll be out here trucking and doing my thing, right? So, you know, for real, I did that when I was on a small town, you know, township board. I was a trustee in a township board. I worked 100 hours a week. I did my trustee work. I went to my meeting once a month, you know, did my thing. But most of the time it was all by phone. You know, I had to do most of it by phone because I was out here working. But I still stood up for what I believed in, you know. And I didn't agree with everything everybody said just because I was, okay, yeah, the township supervisor was one of my buddies. But guess what? Him and I probably went head to head more than anybody in that room. Because I didn't agree with everything that he said. And you should.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah.
There needs to be some sort of healthy debate. I'm not gonna hate the guy because he's got a different opinion.
Right.
You know, he has a different opinion. Let's talk about it. Maybe we can meet in the middle and help the people in this township, right? But that's the problem, is you got enemies, you got Democrats, you got Republicans, if you want to call them that anymore, and they hate each other. There is no middleman. There is no middle of the road. There is no meeting in the middle. It's either you have all the power or you have none of the power, and everything's going to go your way according to that status, right? So unfortunately, that's where all of the problems that we have in everything in this country come from. It comes from that. It's not, you know, and we could sit here and beat our heads up against the wall all day long about the problems, but nothing's going to happen until we step up and get some different people in there that are actually going to give a shit.
Right.
So,
yeah. You gotta get these people to realize that the people that are in there are
about
for the kid.
good talking with you. Stay safe out there, buddy.
Here, nice. I'll talk to y'all later.
The shiny side up.
If you're driving, stay warm. If you're in the cool states. Nice talking to you guys.
Yes, sir. You too, L Jr. I followed you, brother, just so you know. Cool.
Easy, all right?
You too, man.
Yes, sir. I don't, you know, I'm with WeTheTruckers.com. Me and my wife created that page, so go check it out there. We got some other advocates on there that you might be interested in following. Vince is on there, Bob's on there. Go check them out and spread them out there. We got some good people on there that, you know, you might be interested in talking to. All right, thanks, Bob. What is it, WeTheTruckers.com?
WeTheTruckers.com.
I'll follow you guys. If anything, Trucker United, just send me a message, all right?
Will do, brother. I will. All right, man.
We also have some other stuff on that website, too, for people that do things for the trucking industry. We got one lady on there that helps truck drivers out around the holidays, or like here last week, she gathered up some money to help a truck driver get back home that the company just kicked him to the curb after he had an accident. 18 Wheels Matter is her group. You know, so there's a whole lot of other stuff on there. Check it out. Let everybody know. Leave a comment in there. Tell us what you think about the page. And we're up for some perspective, you know, things that could be added or stuff like that. So.
All right, Mr. Moosh, I appreciate it.
There it is right there, El Junior, okay?
Yes, sir.
You be safe out there. You be safe out there. Take care of yourself, man.
Take care, guys, and thanks to everybody that listened to my complaints, whatever, you know, call it. So just take it easy, guys. Take care, all right?
All right, brother.
We're always up for some good conversation. As long as there's no fighting, we're happy.
Exactly. We all think different, you know, but like Lonely Trucker said, somebody has to come in the middle, you know. We all thinking about the same thing, you know, so, all right?
Yeah, buddy. Have a good one.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
All right, you too. Have a good evening. Be safe, buddy.
That one was talking about all the politicians. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
He was talking about all the politicians, and it ain't the politicians, it's all the bureaucrats and lobbyists that stay up there in Washington that pushes these bills. It started in 2007, and where the CSA come in there and passed a bill where they would put points on everybody. If you got pulled over in DOT and you got, let's just say you have one running light out on the side of your trailer, well, that's 2 points. ID light was 4 points.
Like it got here
Under the CSA score in 2007, and it was supposed to, they only picked 7 states. Minnesota was one of them, but I'm from Mississippi, but I was leased to a company out of Minnesota. But they was under that CSA score, but it was only a trial basis. That's all it was. Well, then that was a bureaucrat or a lobbyist that pushed that bill, and it went through, and they sent it to all these congressmen and senators, like, we need to do this, we need to do this. Well, then by them doing that, it created points where there was a lot of drivers that lost their livelihood when Obama signed it into law. And he signed it in 2010 when he signed it into law. Everybody can look that up because he signed it into law. There was like, I know 10 truck drivers that lost their livelihood. I mean, they lost their trucks and everything. That was leased to the company that I was leased to.
That's because
that's kind of. Go ahead, man.
That's because the CSA became like the CDL. The CDL when it came out was supposed to be the same price no matter where you live. Not false. It's all about money. I had a buddy of mine where I worked for Wagner's Trucking in Texas. When the CSA came out, he just sat over there and drive, woman. Let me tell my story. Okay? He got stopped in a DOT inspection, and when he left there, he had 9 tickets. They wrote him for the right turn signal. They wrote him for the left turn signal. They wrote him for the tail lights being out on each side, the license plate light, because his pigtail was wore out up there. It wasn't tight. And they racked it. It's all about money. Money, money, money. It's what it turned into. It's a freaking money game.
Yeah.
You're right about it. It ain't got shit to do with safety. It ain't got a damn thing to do with safety. But then if they write you up a warning, you can't file a warning. Yeah, you screwed. Right. That's them damn points are still going on you.
Yeah, you never take a warning. Never. You take the ticket.
I mean, I got DOT one night. I come out of New Jersey, come back into Pennsylvania. This is at 11:40 at night. Their little scale was open, and they had 2 little smart aleck DOT up there. Well, one of them just jerked my damn door open on my truck. Well, I was in my Pete at that time, and I had my headset charger in the little box where I had my registration and all that. Well, when he jerked my door open, it hit the ground. He looks at me, and that other officer picked it up, and he said, man, that goes to a radar detector. I said, are you serious? I said, we don't use radar detectors no more, dude. I said, we run a certain speed limit to get fuel mileage. I said, I said, that goes to my headset. I said, hand it here. I'll prove it to you. Oh, you ain't got to prove it. Well, he DOT'd me. He went from the front of my truck all the way to the back end. Well, the day before that, I had a wheel seal changed on the right front drive axle. Well, they left a little bit of grease here and there. And he writes me up for excessive grease on the damn DOT ticket. It was 100 grease. No, that was in Pennsylvania.
Oh shoot!
Well, he wrote me up a ticket. It was $130 for the damn ticket. I looked at him and I grabbed my paper where I had just changed the wheel seal the day before. And he looked at me and he says, well, that ain't got nothing to do with this. I said, yes, it does. I said, I just had it changed. Well, then he writes me a ticket, gives me an inspection thing. Well, I send everything in. When I send it in, where it says DOT inspection, it has comments. Well, I wrote on there, DOT don't know what the F he's doing. And I sent in a copy, and safety calls me, and they said, what are you doing writing on the comments? I said, that was my comments. I said, I have a right to comment. He said, well, we have to mail this in. I said, that's why I mailed you a copy of where I had my wheel seal changed too. Oh, I didn't know that. But after they got it, I paid the ticket. The very next day, I went ahead and paid the ticket. By lunchtime, I had a lawyer now call me on my cell phone out of Pennsylvania saying, I can take your case for $500. I said, hold on, who are you? I'm like, how do you even know about this? And it was just so weird that he already knew about me getting the damn ticket.
Money.
That's exactly right. He said, that's what I'm talking about. Violation.
Hey, Otis, I don't mean to interrupt, but I gotta go, fellas. I gotta go, drivers, okay? So, yep.
I appreciate everybody that came in and liked it, followed me, and good conversation. I appreciate it, fellas. Vince and I are gonna try to do one a week, talk about some different things, and we did the first hour talking about professionalism and stuff. The second hour was just other shit, but everything was good, man. I liked it. It was great conversation.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for the shares, the likes, comments, follows, gifts. Thank you, everybody, and come back again soon, okay? Go follow everybody. Go follow everybody. It doesn't cost anything to follow, like, share. And actually, I just found something out. I've been testing it for 1 week. Every single platform, every morning, I go and I not follow, but I like 5 different people's stuff. I comment on at least 5 different people's channels, and it actually pushes your videos out into the algorithm higher. So when you're building your community, they reward you. They put you in a higher traffic pattern. So if anybody's looking to grow on their channels or meet more people or really create a group, which is what we're all trying to do here, right? The trucking industry, specifically on this channel, that's some advice that is working for me. So anybody that's curious, there you go. Have a great night, everybody. Keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down.
Before you leave, I'm gonna send you a couple messages, some research I've been doing on parking rest areas.
Okay.
So, like, if you look at one state on the website, they got 57 rest areas. But if you actually dig into it, they only got about 23, so only half of what they're showing on their data for the DOT. But if you actually go onto the DOT road and zoom in, this is closed down. And the crazy part is, they're shutting down.
Yeah.
They're saying water contamination is the reason why they're closing these bad boys down. But then you look at it and they're spending $6,000 a month to actually run this area.
Show it to me. I'll call them out on it. You know me. I'll call them out on it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing a couple more states.
That. Why do you think Sean Duffy got involved with all those unalived people in Florida? It's because truck drivers like us were getting involved, and we were calling him out like, hey, what are you gonna do, DOT? You know, what are you gonna do about this? Hi, Jane. Yes.
I want everybody to see the other half of WeTheTruckers.com. This is 3J Trucking on TikTok.
Hi, Jane. Yep. There's the boss. There's the real boss.
Well, I appreciate it. Go check it out. It doesn't cost anything. Check it over. Leave some comments. Let us know what you think about it. We're changing things around, adding stuff. So comments and what's the other thing?
Okay, your voice is done.
Shush.
Comments, likes, shares, and favorites.
You know, stuff to add to it.
Oh, suggestions. Yeah. Yep, suggestions. Thanks, Sean. All right, guys.
Side up, rubber side down, like old Vinci there says.
That's right. Later. Let's see, Yogurt Beach. I don't even know. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. El Guapo. Yeah, I got that, B. Later.